Happy Thursday. I was like, what day is it? It's only Thursday when I do this, so happy Thursday. Oh, just getting over another cold. Oh my goodness. My daughter comes home with so many germs. Well, welcome. If you are watching this video for the first time, I am Kayla. I am a psychic medium, and I do this show or episodes of whatever I choose to talk about, called Medium Small Talk. And today I had an idea to do a video kind of about our DNA and things that are carried forward from our parents and our family, and then about a little bit about timelines. Now, I'm just going to kind of go through this information. I don't really have anything written out, so I apologize if it feels like there's like a million balls and none of them are really connecting. So I will do my best. But yeah, so, excuse me. I think, let me just get clear for a sec what I want to say. Where we want to start. I'll just usually ask my guides and see where they want to go. Okay. Perfect. This is really important, and this has just kind of been coming up a lot lately, actually. If you follow any like spiritual teachers, guides, spiritual guides like Matt Kahn, Andrew, Lee Harris, there's tons, and astrologers. A lot of crazy things are going on the planet. One of the things that we're noticing a lot of, especially now that Mercury's retrograde, is our physical body. And it's such a good opportunity to kind of feel into what is happening for us. So a lot of people already do that, and I'll quickly just explain, meaning the idea of that our mind, body, and soul are all connected. And so when we're feeling or having these experiences, they're also happening within inside of us. And sometimes our monkey brain just plays a story or is on loop, and we're, irritable or frustrated or sad or feeling heavy, and we're not really sure. So one way to kind of understand is to drop into your body. And by dropping in, I mean like creating space to be quiet and sit and be still, no electronics, nothing. Could be out in nature, could be, laying in your bed, but just going in and like feeling like you're just traveling into your heart, into your body, and just noticing, like, does anything feel tight? Does anything feel like tense? Is anything sore? Just feeling into those parts and allowing them to kind of speak to you has the body's wisdom. So in that process lately, I have come to understand a few things, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Have you ever wanted to try and get rid of something? Maybe a self-limiting belief like, I can't change. This is just who I am. But the thing is you desperately want to be a certain way, speak a different way, act a certain way. You want to be different. And it's like, it feels right for you. It's like inside of your body, inside of who you are, it feels right to be that way. But it's like, there's just something standing in the way. It's like something is stuck and you can't quite get there. And it's really a self-limiting belief, right? That's playing this role. But it's actually a bit deeper. And this isn't the case for everything, but for what I'm noticing is adding another kind of skill, or I shouldn't say that, a tool to explore is kind of what I'm offering you. When we know this, they've done studies and stuff on like rats and whatnot, that DNA messages actually carry from body to body. So like my Nana had certain things about her experiences that were carried into my mom, and mom carried them into me. And so a big part of kind of what is going on as we kind of, move forward into the new kind of timelines, new way of living and being in the world, especially this year. What is really interesting is that we're really coming face to face with what's ours and what's not ours. Meaning, what is mine that I have created or has been cultivated in my life, in my time being here as Kayla. What is that? What's mine to like own and to change and heal and work through because of certain experiences, let's say. but also what is mine that I have brought into me through no choice of my own, either DNA, genetically wise, or energetically from experiences growing up in my home. Now, it's interesting to know the difference, and I think the way to measure the difference is if you're trying to be a certain way and it feels right, like you should be, or you should be at that place, or that's how you should be in the world, and it feels so good, you just can't get there. It's like you try and you try, but you're just like on this hamster wheel of like nothing ever shifts or changes. I'm curious if you were to look at it from a lens of saying, what if this isn't mine? Going back to that example of that self-limiting belief around like, I can never change. This is just who I am. What if that's not yours? And what if that has kind of come through you in terms of your DNA and how you feel, but that it actually, the original owner of that was your parent? And what if, the way you were brought up and the energy around that was so entrenched in who they were in terms of they couldn't believe they couldn't change, that they could be anything else other than they are, and they locked themselves into that. And what if that energy also became a part of you? So now you're trying to change because, you feel like you want to, and you want to get to this thing that you see or want or desire of being a certain way, and it feels good, but you just can't get there. So what I have been practicing, and there's a lot of different kind of, I'm sure, exercises out there to kind of teach you, which is sending it back to the owner. When we realize that something isn't ours, we also have to choose to stop taking ownership over it, that it doesn't actually belong to us anymore. And there's a bit of grief in that, especially if we have a self-limiting belief or something about us that we've held on to our entire lives. It's kind of like we feel naked and exposed and raw and vulnerable without it. It's like, who are we without that story? Who are we without that trauma? Like, that's kept me safe. It's kept me, here. Who could I possibly be if that isn't a part of who I am anymore? But the thing is you have to trust that you came here to be bigger and better than that. And the whole process is to heal and grow and evolve. And so another tool we're kind of adding in there is to really sort through what's your shit and what's not your shit. And if it's not your shit, then it should be sent back to the original owner. And that could be a grandparent. Like, you could just intuitively know, okay, well, that came from that. 100%, the way, maybe they're from a certain part of the world and the culture and this and that just equaled that. And I can totally see how that came into me. This is also really important, a good opportunity to kind of use your intuition and to know where it came from and what's what. And some of it you'll feel into and you'll be like, no, that's mine. I totally get that. That started, I was 8, and then this, and then I had a boyfriend who reinforced that, or a girlfriend who reinforced that, and then a family member who did. And no, that's me standing in my own way. But then for some of it, and I can tell you personally, there are certain parts of my life that I've tried to change and alter for so many years, and I will literally tell you that I have tried everything. And when I say that, I'm not like over exaggerating, which I tend to. I've literally done everything. Like, I could write you a list of like at least 36 things that I have tried or tried to incorporate or practice, or do, or bring in people or practitioners or do more counseling or this to try and do that. And it's like, I had to stop and ask myself, like, if I keep trying to do this and I keep getting the same result, then maybe it's not mine. Maybe it's not mine. And maybe the answer is to let it go. Is that it's actually holding me in space. I'm trying to heal and fix something that was never mine to begin with. So that's why I can't connect with it. Does that make sense? Not that you're going to answer, but I hope it makes sense. So, such a good tool to have to really look in and see. And that can be around money. And then we talked a bit about that when I did the video about scarcity. And, that ends up happening definitely through DNA and lineage, but also energetically growing up around. And then you get to a place where you're like, but everything in my life is actually good. Like, bills are paid okay. We live in a nice home. But why is it that the outer world is good, but it's like a crazy contrast to how I'm feeling inside? It's like they're not the same. It's like I should be matching this outer world, and I should be calm and relaxed, just like my finances, and I should be calm and chilled because everything's paid. It's like they're just so different. So it's like, what needs to shift and change? It's like, okay, maybe I'm holding on to stuff that's not mine, and I've been trying to change it, but actually the answer is to send it back to the original owner and to stop taking ownership for it. And we do that with disease, we do that with illness, we do that with things like even anxiety, like my anxiety. No. Anxiety isn't yours to have and yours to hold. It is something that happens and is triggered and brings up, and it's biological and it's physical and physiological and all those kind of things, and then it creates illogical thoughts and stuff, but that's not yours to own. So it's kind of like getting to that place of like, the difference between ownership. Like, I know that this is my hand and this is a part of who I am. It's I own it. It owns me. It's I can't be without it. It's me. There are parts of me that I take full ownership for, and who I am. Like, I'm a fire sign. I'm passionate. I can rage like the best of them, but I can also, be fiery and passionate and all those kind of things. That is a part of me. I take full ownership for that. Being a Sagittarius, being a fire sign, just being who I am. It's me. I take ownership. That didn't come from anywhere. Maybe it came a little bit from my mom, for sure. But there are parts of me that are not me. But you don't realize it until you get to a point in life and you're like, I've been living this whole time. It never fit. I tried to push it away or work through it or ask it or whatever. But it's just like, I realize that it's just the way you're looking at it. You just need to look at it from a different way, and you need to ask and be curious about it from a different way too. And when you do both of those things, you get curious about, okay, maybe it was never mine to begin with, and can I detach from it? Can I stop taking ownership for it? Okay? And that's the thing with taking ownership, and I think that's what I was like on a monkey brain path, was trying to explain ownership when I was talking about my hand, is because ownership is a sense, it's like a feeling that you have when you own something, like when you own a story, right? When you own that something has happened to you, you feel it. You can easily go back to that moment in time. It's visceral. It's, it's mental, it's emotional, it's all these things. You own it, you feel into it. But as you heal and move through a certain trauma, with like a supportive counselor and just life and, taking good care of yourself and all of that, you get to a point where it just doesn't feel as like, you don't own it as much anymore. It's not a part of your everyday life. It was a part of your story. It was a part of your experience. And it helps shape who you are, but it's not something that you want to own anymore. So you release it and let it go. And that's kind of how we heal and move through things. So I just really encourage you to really kind of going through some of those, blocks that you're having and self-limiting beliefs and things, just pause and look at your life and say, okay, is there like, and you might be totally content and happy with and peaceful and, where you are, and that's amazing. Don't try and create something that's not there. I would hate for you to do that. But look around and say, okay, what is something that I've always been working on? Whether it's personal, relationships, health, mind, body, soul, what did I say? Career or family, whatever the case may be. Look around, like, what part of you, consciously or subconsciously, have you been trying to work through or move through to get to a destination? And unpack that. Is there a self-limiting belief in here? Is there a part that you believe so wholeheartedly a part of that that's stopping you? And then ask yourself, is this mine? Where was this birthed from? Did I birth this into reality, or was that birth for me? Or have I created that attachment to it because my mom so believed it? Or my dad just walked the talk and there was just no other way to be in the world, so now it's become a part of me. And can you release it? Can you stop taking ownership? Can you forgive yourself for holding on to that for so long, for taking that on? Maybe it needed to serve a purpose. Great. Thank you for serving a purpose, but I don't need you anymore. I want to believe that I can change, that I am fully capable of, and I've proved it to myself because of this, this, and this. So I'm going to send this back to the owner, and it can be energetic. You can think about it, you can feel it, but I really want you can feel it. No, I want you to feel it. I want you to feel like it's coming from somewhere. Where is it coming from? Is it your gut? Is it your heart? Is it your knee? Like where? And how are you sending it back? And do it with like an affirmation. Do it with, like a sense of righteousness, because you're taking back your power of your body, of your DNA, of who you are. And this is the second part I'll kind of want to talk to, and I'll be quick about it because I don't want to feel like I'm going on and on, which I probably already am. Timelines. When I say timelines, it's meaning that we can live in alternate timelines. So it's like you have like 11 feet, and your foot is back here when you're 10, and your other foot is back here when you were 22, and your other foot is here, and so on. And it's this idea that if you're fully present to the life that you're living, everything's good. It's like here, or maybe things aren't good and you're working through things. But when you're fully present, this is the only timeline that exists. Like right now in this moment, I am in this room. There are 4 walls. I know what house I'm in. I know where I live, and I am fully present to talking to you. I know this to be true. This is the only timeline that's existing. Now, if I'm getting frustrated with my daughter and my husband says something and I'm trying to cook dinner and this and all of that, and like chaos is happening, the dogs are barking, all of that, that might bring me to other timelines where I might be reacting and responding like I had in the past, or having trigger moments, or whatever the case may be. The best way I can explain it is, what was that example I was going to give? Shoot, I had it in my head. Timelines. Oh, okay. The way I grew up, it was a bit more stressful. You know, like money was tight, this, all these kind of layers to create this stress. So my mom was always maybe stressed or heightened, or, you know, at this level of, you know, the worry and weight of like having 3 kids and all the things that she was experiencing on an emotional level and all this, but there was just heightened energy. Looking back on those times and those years, absolutely, of course she would feel like that and be like that, and her energy would be like that. I get that. But what was happening is I was also experiencing that. So here I am in my life, which is 1000% different than it was then. You know, there's different things like in terms of finances and my home and this, and my daughter's amazing and my husband's amazing. There's just all these like calm, amazing things. But then here I am, keep having this visceral experience as if there's all these crazy things happening on my outer world, but they're not. So it's like I was current in this timeline, but I was also living in that timeline too. And so it's a bit complicated of how to work through some of that, but use your intuition in the sense of like what it is that you need. I had to start to put both feet, and I had to look at that and acknowledge that and be like, oh wow, I don't want to live in that timeline anymore. I'm taking back my power, and I'm going to catch myself. And it took a little bit, and sometimes I still do go back. I'm like, whoa, I've been spinning for a few days and reacting as if like there's all this stress and all this, but really I've just created it from, you know, being back in those timelines. So it takes a bit of time to do some of the work. But again, kind of going back to what's mine, that was never mine in terms of that. That was always supposed to be something my mom held, like the worry and anxiety and all that. I was supposed to be a kid and stuff, but naturally through any parent-child relationship, things like get put on us and we put them on them and so on. It's just this exchange of energy. But it's also very much a part of her DNA, maybe the way my grandmother was raised or the way she experienced life and so on. So all of that was really important for me to learn, to kind of go in, and I had to figure out where it was in my body. Like that stress of being like heightened all the time, and it turned out it was like a big ball in my chest. And I will be honest with you, that ball had probably been there most of my life, and it was the triggering of frustration or things like that would happen, or something would break and I'd be, or the dogs would bark and I'd be like, oh, and like that can get a little bit complicated, but anyways, it was just like meditating and really just being like, this ball's been here for a really long time of energy, and it's really heightened, and it's like, but I didn't want to own it anymore because I really understood where it had come from, and that it was existing in other timelines, and it wasn't existing in the present, and didn't match my current reality. And so it's like I wanted to empower myself to change and shift and do something about it. So I called upon my guides and my angels and, you know, shamans and spirit and high level kind of beings and archangels, and I was like, I'm done. I carried this for 30 something years or 30 years or whatever it was, and I'm no longer holding on to it anymore. You can take it. Like I just disconnected from the ownership and sent it back to where it had come from. And it felt light. I felt light, and it changed my life and all of that kind of stuff. So it is so important to really recognize what timelines we're still living in. Could be a thought, it could be a processing of our brain living, and we're like, oh wow, I used to always think like that in my early 20s, like that fear of like what's to come next and this and everything was so, you know, oh wow, I can totally see how that's showing up for me in this, but I'm different. I'm this age at this time, and I don't need that. I don't need that perspective anymore. What can I do for myself to release and let that go? So that's kind of how timelines connect with, stopping ourselves from owning and holding on to things that really aren't ours to hold on to anymore. And like I said at the beginning, that doesn't mean everything isn't yours, because there are a lot of things that are yours, and those things need to be owned, and you're responsible for doing the work to heal and move through that. And so using your own discretion, your discernment, your intuition to really understand what's yours and what's not, okay? And you will know. If you say something and you might be like, in your mind, no, that's theirs, but there's inside of you like, no, that's yours. So you can resist it for a little bit. I've done that, but it's just not going to get you to where you need to go. So that is probably a huge topic, but kind of condensed into 20 minutes or so. So really, call to action or things you can do for yourself is really start playing with beliefs, and especially self-limiting beliefs and things that come up for you. Is that yours? Is it not yours? You will know right away what some of the shit from your family that was carried down is, and what some of yours is. I will say this: don't get mad at holding a lot of this, because sometimes karmically, and just because of the beings that we are, we chose to take on some of that. We chose to take on, some of that pain and that intergenerational trauma, because we knew we were going to be the ones to shift and change it. And so that is entirely true for a lot of people. That's great. And when you've done the work and you've got to that point and it no longer serves, and you've done the work and you've healed, then that's really great, because you can get to a place to release it. So yeah, my Nana had experienced certain relationships which weren't maybe great. She'd probably kill me for saying that out loud. She's passed, but I can probably hear her yelling at me for sharing that information. And then, my mom didn't either. And then in my early years, I also. So it was all these generations of having these really, aggressive, violent, unfortunate relationships. And so I knew that was going to be the one to fall on me too. And that was just intuitively at a young age. I think it was in my early 20s, to be like, okay, I'm breaking the cord here. It stops with me. And so it was healing all of that, healing the self-worth and the self-love and the deserving and the respect of being a woman in society, and feeling safe being a woman, and all that kind of layers of stuff. I had to do that work, and I did that really hardcore. And one, I did it for myself, was first and foremost. I did it for me because I never wanted to choose being within a relationship with that, and I never ever did again. And then I ended up choosing literally the most amazing man who's the complete opposite, who's the exception to every single rule. And so what I will cultivate with my children with that relationship is the healthy role modeling that especially little girls and boys deserve to have, to understand that it was possible and, available to them in the world, so that hopefully stops with me. So anyways, that's a whole kind of understanding of the intergenerational stuff. So yes, you do have to take on some of that, and you do have to work, but eventually you get to a place where you don't want to hold on to it anymore. And sometimes it naturally releases when you do the work and heal. But again, just don't be angry when you get to those places. Yeah, I've been holding on to this for so long. That was not mine. Yeah, but maybe you asked for it to be yours for a little bit, but that doesn't mean it has to be yours forever. Okay? Anyways, I really hope that helps, and I hope that was somewhat coherent. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Tomorrow is Friday, and I will see you next week. And if you are viewing this on YouTube and you haven't followed me, go on to Facebook, and I am Kayla Leanne, Leanne, Psychic Medium. And you will see this face in the picture. Follow me, and you can also follow me on Instagram. I will post deals and other opportunities and things like that. Every Sunday now, I am pulling 3 cards, and you get, once you pick a card with a crystal on it, you get a little message in your inbox of kind of what to expect for the week, or a perspective or something to work on. So I started out last week, and it was very successful. So follow me on Facebook or Instagram to kind of have that option to have that little bit of a reading every week. Awesome. Take good care of yourself. Okay, bye.